Chazdei Hashem Yisborach. We are learning the Heilige Tanya. This is our ticket into the world to come, my friends. And today we're going to be speaking about the anatomy of your soul. So, if you want to know what's going on under the hood, then today's the day to tune in. And we're essentially going to be explaining the fabric and the mechanics of your soul. And we already explained that your soul is modeled after the 10 upper spheres, as we spoke about last week, 2 weeks ago, before Bracha Tova was born. It's been a while, right? It's been Baruch Hashem, Mazel Tov Simchas for all of us. And we explained that Hashem creates the world and runs the world through these 10 spheres. And that these spheres are the way that everything in the world is occurring. And what's amazing is these spheres have a place inside of our soul. And therefore, if you can tap into your soul, then just like God creates and runs the world through the spheres, so if you can tap into these powers inside of you, then fill in the blanks, you could also create and run worlds. And that's exactly the case. Now, that's very exciting. There's a lot of responsibility, obviously. And the corollary is also true, which we don't want to say, which is if these are the things that create and run worlds, and if we don't use them properly, then we, God forbid, we won't fill in the blanks. We'll just say that we won't necessarily be creating worlds or running worlds in a healthy way. Yes?
So if you're lower level, you'll be affecting less, so there'll be much less damage. If you're not, because if you're building, you're obviously at higher levels, you have more of an effect, unlike the other worlds. If you're lower level, obviously you're getting much less of an effect, so it won't matter as much.
So that's exactly it. The more power, the more responsibility. And we talk about that also when it comes to certain substances. Like we talked about that, we gave an example of wine. Wine, alcohol, has the power to destroy. The Torah is very unfavorable when it comes to alcohol. Noah totally ruined his life through drinking as opposed to planting wheat. We find Lot and his daughters. Alcohol leads to not good things. But we also find that the holiest day of the week, holiest day of the year, Shabbos, we make kiddush on a cup of wine. We have wine under the wedding canopy. So the very same thing could be either used for the highest level of relationship or, God forbid, the other side. So you're right, Aaron, exactly inside of your soul is major power, but that also means major responsibility to use those powers properly. It's very important to know that. So we're going to learn today what's actually going on under the hood. Okay, you ready to take off the hood of a Lamborghini? Isn't that engine in the trunk? I think so, right? It is
convertible.
What's that?
Hood of a convertible.
Convertible? Lamborghini? Okay, look at the bottom of Zion. It says Bir Ha'inyan. You guys see that? And then we just turn the page. Page 14. Bir Ha'inyan. We're going to explain now your soul. Hine. I'm going to draw this, and you've probably seen this before, okay? At least if you went to Tzfat one time, or you just looked up on Google, Kabbalah. You probably saw the following thing, okay? And I'm sure if Madonna was teaching this lesson, she'd also draw what I'm about to draw, okay? Now, everybody knows what I'm about to draw, everyone associates it with Kabbalah, but the question is the explanation good? Now, Madonna might be a fine person, but I'm not sure if she has the tradition, back to Moshe Rabbeinu, back to Moses at Mount Sinai, of Kabbalah. Okay? It might be very nice, but like we said, when it comes to very intense things, you want to make sure that you have an authentic tradition, an unbroken chain. Okay, so I'm going to draw something. Oh, I've seen that before. That's like that cool Kabbalah art. Okay? Okay, yeah, okay, looks familiar so far. Well, that's cool. These orbs, right? So this is called Hofma. This is called Bina. We're going to explain. You're like, Hofma, wisdom, Bina, understanding. All those words, I want you to throw them all out. Okay, we're going to use Hebrew words because the English words are going to be super misleading. And we want to go to the source. Okay, this is called Das. Like, oh yeah, Das, knowledge, right? Keep throwing out words. Just, we're changing your vocabulary entirely right now. Okay, then there's like Chesed. Oh yeah, kindness. That one's actually decent. Kavura. This Tiferes sometimes spells like that. This is Netzach. This is Hod. This one's Yisod. And this one is Malchus. Okay. You're like, oh yeah, that thing. Yeah. Oh, that one, right? The Tree of Life. I saw that. That cool looking thing. I guarantee you, if you look up Kabbalah, I didn't do this ever, but I just have a good feeling. If you just do Kabbalah, that will come up, or something like that. And sometimes it has like these cool things, like lines that connect them. Like, oh, now I see. Now, oh, I saw that before. And stuff like that, and maybe like that. And by the way, they all connect. And then you might say, no, but there's something else I one time saw. Yeah, there's something even up here. Anyone know what that one's called? Keter. Keter, the crown. Okay. Oh, and then rabbit. Oh, you gotta connect the lines here. Okay. Yeah, we've all seen that before. By the way, this is what your soul looks like. I just drew it out for you. The only problem is that doesn't mean anything. There is something actually about just looking at this that that heightens consciousness. There's something visual about this which is very powerful because we've been given this as a tradition from sages going all the way back. There is something very powerful just looking at that. But beyond that, it's cool and it does do some things to you subconsciously. If you don't have an understanding, then it doesn't really do anything except look cool. We want to actually talk about how this is what your soul is, but actually talk about the dynamics of what that means. Okay? So if you want in your time, you could actually draw this on the side. And we're going to go through some of these one by one. Now, I want to actually make another delineation. This can be subdivided into another 3 basic categories. Oh, it's a dud. We'll just use the same color. It's not as dramatic, but I'm sure it'll do. Keeping a line there. Okay, so what does that now do? This is basically my intellect. We're going to call this seichel. Your intellect. This whole area, anyone know? We're going to call this midos. Or your emotions. Let's call it emotions. And this is going to be action. Now, this doesn't mean your intellect, like my brain, per se. This means what's making your brain work. And it doesn't mean intellect like my thoughts. We're going to see that your thoughts are actually like a piece of clothing to what this is. Your thoughts are external compared to this. This is like your pre-psychic essence, your psychic essence, the precursor of thought. And this is the precursor of really emotion. This is where emotion is stemming from. This is where thought is stemming from. Okay, this is like the fabric of you. We're going to talk about the fabric of you. Later we're going to talk about how thought, speech, and action is something actually pretty external to you. It's not you. Which a lot of people would say, really? My thoughts aren't me? Yeah, they're not you. They happen to reflect you, just like clothing reflects the person, can reflect the mood that a guy's in. If a guy's wearing schlumpy clothing, he's like, I'm not in a schlumpy mood. Come on, you're all schlumpy looking. No, it's like a look. You're only looking like that because you want to go schlump. You're feeling in a schlumpy mood, so you went schlump. Everybody knows that. There's reflective of the guy, of the person. Yeah?
Is Keter still with those?
Keter is a wonderful question. Keter is higher than the system. This is Keter. Keter is not even, it's higher than your soul. It's the highest part of your soul. That's why we wear these little funny hats. Yeah. It's higher. It's higher than the system. To also be humble enough to know that this whole soul is coming from something higher. That's why we wear the little hats. Or big ones. It's a big one. I won't tell you what size. It's a flex. Okay. Let's begin. Bir ha'inyan, the explanation of your soul is the following. I'm reading it inside, and I know the words are very technical, but it's so important to see it in the words of the Tanya. Hine ha-seichel shebenefesh hamaskil. The seichel, this intellect, shebenefesh hamaskil, that's inside of this intellectual soul of yours. Shehu hamaskil kol davar, that's able to understand all things. So he's zoning in, the Baal HaTanya is zoning in to the part of you that can know things, that starts to identify and know things. Nikra b'shem Chachma. There's a part of you called Chachma. We're going to leave Keter for now. Let's just leave Keter. Chachma. Chachma is this part of you that can know things and grasp things. But even when you grasp it, it still is a little bit above you. The Kabbalah books point out that Hofma is made up of a composition of two different words. Chachma is made up of the words koach, ma. Excellent. Koach means the power. What does ma mean?
What?
The power to say what? Now let me ask you a question. When you say what, does that imply that you know something or you do not know something?
You don't know.
You do not know, otherwise you wouldn't say what. You say, mazeh, what is this? Mahu, what is going on? Wait a second. The highest part of you is a part that has the ability to say, I don't know something? I would have known the highest part of you is the part of you that knows everything. You're liking this, Zach. You're feeling it. The highest part of me is is a part that can say what? This is very humbling. Watch this. Are we infinite or finite? Finite. Is God infinite or finite?
Infinite.
Infinite. Excellent. So how do you make space for an infinite God to have a relationship with us? The answer is, in so much that you know everything, you're Mr. Know-It-All, then you're pushing away God's infiniteness. Because you're making yourself so finite. Even if you think you know it all, will you ever know it all? You're finite. So even if you know a lot of stuff, let's say you know tons of stuff, you will never be ever close to infinite. Because even your lot, what is Googleplex compared to infinite?
Zero.
Nothing. Zero. But it's Googleplex. Yeah, but it's still finite. Finite compared to infinite is infinitely distant. Even if you know the most in the world. The place and the way, this is going to become very practical right now. If you want to make space for Hashem, who's infinite, to come into your life, you need to make a place where you actually say, I don't know. When you could make a space and say there's a place that I don't know, essentially this is conceptual, moving away your finite knowingness, what happens at that point? Infinite Hashem can now come into you. The ability to do that is called Chachma. Chachma is a technology of your soul that has a space that could say Ma. This is a wondrous place where you're able to open up to something bigger, an awe, a wonder. Chachma is associated with those types of words: awe, wonderment, open curiosity, inquisitiveness of the beyond. When a person has this open inquisitiveness of the beyondness of everything, Hashem all of a sudden can flow into him this amazing light, this amazing, awesome experience. That's why Chachma is described in the holy books like a flash of lightning that hits you. It's described like a man walking in a dark forest, and he doesn't know where he's going. And all of a sudden, the flash of lightning hits and everything just lights up and illuminates in the forest. And he sees everything in one second, everything becomes totally clear. In a certain way, did he do anything for that lightning bolt? The lightning bolt is almost the eureka moment, and things become clear. Now, at that point, when you get a moment of clarity, is that the whole story? For example, you're trying to get somewhere. You're trying to get to a cabin in the middle of a dark forest. You see a lightning bolt, everything becomes completely clear to you. And then in 1 second, everything is dark. Have you achieved what you want to achieve yet? Are you at the cabin? Do you even know exactly how to get there? You know where it is. As soon as you start tracing the steps of, wait a second, I saw where it is. What? Because where is it? It's like, wait, one second. I know that I know where it is, but 1 second. Let me just work it out. As soon as you start working out that information, you've left Chachma, you've entered something called Bina, which we're going to talk about tomorrow. So what's Chachma? Practically, when you're able to make space and say what? Hashem now brings a tremendous light, an illumination into your mind. Let me give you something very practical. You guys have been learning something. You're learning a Gemara. And you're like, what does the Gemara say? You're learning a piece of calculus, let's say. What is it? And all of a sudden, you get it. And I don't know if they have chavrusas in calculus, but let's say they do. So your study partner says, so what is it? I saw that, like you say, wait, 1 second. I know that I know it, but I can't verbalize it yet. So what's the study partner going to say? Say you don't know it. But you tell him back, I know that I know it. I know I got it, but I just can't verbalize it yet. Right? When you know that you got it, when you know it, that's called Chachma. And usually that comes from a certain place of, I don't know. And, oh, that's Chachma. Chachma is like the flash of an idea. Chachma is compared to this burst of inspiration where the entire idea is there, but it hasn't been fleshed out yet. Let's go back to we're going to use these examples a lot. Let's go to this example of the guy learning a piece of calculus. He gets it. Chachma. His chavrusa says, explain to me what you just got. Is he able to articulate it yet? Probably not. It takes him a few moments just to gather, and then he starts talking it out. When he talks it out to his chavrusa, is he talking out more than was in the initial flash, or was it really all there in the initial flash? It was all there in the initial flash, but it was compact. The process of Bina is what we call unwinding the idea. The idea was all there, but it had to be unwound and developed and even built upon. But the core idea was found in the Hofma.
So Bina is unwinding the Hofma.
Yeah. I don't know if this sounds familiar to you, but this couldn't be compared to the male giving the seed and the wife taking the seed and unwinding the helix into a child. What was there was given, and now there's just a unwinding of the idea. The seed is really, it's information. It's complex, it's for a child. The amount of, if you were to unwind the genetic code, how far is it to the sun and back?
Something like that.
In how small is the seed? Thousands of times smaller than a poppy seed. This is like, and that much information, so it's complex. And if you unwind it, that's what she's doing. She's taking that information and just expressing it out as a child. It's unbelievable. That's just like, wow. That's called Bina. In Chachma, though, it's the whole flash, the whole thing, but in this little packet. So Chachma is the part of your soul that's able to literally make space for a higher light. Obviously, this is going to be related to Keter. A beyond you light, an infinite light. Chachma is the bridge, because Koach is something that you have. Ma is something that's beyond you. So you want a beyond light. How do you have beyond and you? The answer is you always need an intermediary. Chachma is the intermediary that allows for the beyondness, Ma, to come into your Koach and then now travel to Bina. Bina is now going to unwind existence, and in Das we're going to see is actually you now really connecting to it and being able to decide how you want to express that. To be continued, Chevra. Have a wonderful week. Yesher Koyach.
Thank you, Rosh.
Thank you, guys.